Hello everyone, so recently me and Dave Luza went through our top games of 2020, so I thought why not jump back a year and go through my top games from 2019. So I'm going to jump into Board Game Geek to have a look and show some pictures, so let's have a look at that with my number 5, which is Silver and Gold. It's a small game that's mostly based on cards and Tetris style shapes. So if I jump into some pictures, basically you are going to be turning over during the round 7 of the 8 Tetris style shapes. So they range from the T shapes, the L shapes, straights and stuff like that, and you're going to be using those to fill in with a wipeable marker onto your island cards. You're literally drawing on these cards to fill in the shapes of these islands. Now, if you can't use a shape, you can always use that card that's been turned over as a single X, so you can just cross off one rather than crossing off the block or the shape on the island. There's some bonuses to trigger, so some of these ones, let's see if there's a better picture. So as you can see, some of the ones have little X's on, and if you cover that, then you get to put an X somewhere. And if you cover a coin, you're also going to get something. Whoever gets coins quickly, they're going to get points for the trophies for coins, and it's easy to get to the table. And there's choices along the way, which I think works really nicely. It's another game that Phil Walker Harding has done very nicely, and the fact you draw on the cards is just so unique, so different. I've not seen that in realistically anything else. So that was my number 5. My number 4 is Point Salad. So this is a game which is, it takes the names of what we refer to as some games of a point salad, where you get points for everything, and kind of takes the mickey out of that a little bit. On your turn, you're given a choice. You're either going to take a point scoring card, in terms of it will tell you need to collect, say, 2 carrots, and for every 2 carrots you'll get so many points, or it will just say, for every pepper you get 4 points, but every lettuce you have, you lose a point. The other option on the turn is to take vegetable cards. So there's a really interesting choice throughout the game of, I want to take vegetables because I need them to score points, but I also want to take actual... let's just have a look at some of these cards. I need to take some of these point scoring cards, otherwise I won't score points, but I need to take vegetables to score them. So there's a real interesting balance of when do I take what. And then sometimes, you take a few different cards, and then it's like, okay, I now need to not take any of those peppers because I've taken 3 point scoring cards that all say I lose points for peppers. I'm not sure what those ones are. This is the awkwardness of BGG, but you get these lovely good cards. They're nice bright colours, and it's that logic of when to take things that I think is really, really good. So that's Point Salad. My number 3, now this is an interesting one. Now I'm going to say my favourite one is probably DC. So this is the Funkoverse strategy game. So you could get whatever sets you wanted. My favourite is probably the DC one. Although I very much enjoy the Rick and Morty one because it's Rick and Morty, and they're a funny duo. Now, I'd say you have to almost, if you're going to get into it, get a 4-pack. Don't get one of the packs that are only 2, because you're really limiting yourself. When you've got 4 characters, not only do you have 2 sides of the board to play on, as with the 2 pops, you have 4 people to draft, so it's not always that one person versus one person. You've got 2 on each side, so you've got loads of more combinations. You're going to want more though. You're going to want it so you can have a 3-on-3 pop fest. So you could have Voldemort and Harry Potter on the same team with Rick, and then you could have them versus Harley Quinn, you could have the Jaws Shark, and you know, the combinations get crazy. The gameplay in this is really simple in terms of, you know, it's all about getting into the position and chucking some dice and hoping to get the right hits, so very luck based on that. But there are objectives to go for, and I really enjoy the cooldown tracker. So the cooldown tracker on that, on them, for instance, Voldemort, one of most people's favourites, has a spell that when he uses it uses loads of dice, so you're almost certainly going to do the damage, but it goes on like the 3 or the 4 of the track, and that means when you use that, you're not going to see that token back for a while, which is you know, oh, there it is, it's Fiend Fire, range of 2 and a challenge of 6, so you're rolling 6 dice, and that's really strong, but you're then putting that token on 4. That means you've got to wait 4 turns to get that back, unless you get a character that can manipulate that track, and that's where sort of the combos come in and it really gets fun to draft heroes. So that was Funkoverse, my number 3. My number 2 game, and probably my favourite Azul of the bunch, is Azul Summer Pavilion. Now, I still really like the original. I think the second one, was it Stained Glass of Sintra? That was a really good one, but I feel it's hardest to get to the table. I think it's a very gamery version, and I think Summer Pavilion is kind of gamery as well. I think it's maybe a little bit more forgiving than the original Azul, though, which, you know, some people might not like, but I think in this one, because you can save up to 4 tiles between rounds, and at some point some are wild, I mean, they're glorious chunky tiles, it means you're much less likely to lose huge amounts of points, whereas in the original one, you could really screw people over to make them take the wrong colour tiles that they couldn't use. So I think it's a little bit more forgiving. I like the tiles are still nice, plastic and chunky. And do you need this one if you've got the original? Now, I've got all 3 and I'm happy to keep them in the collection. This is probably the one I will be going to, even with new players, but the original Azul, looks like maybe a shot from Essen there or something. The original Azul is still good. They're close enough though that you probably don't need both. They've both got that central mechanic of drawing the tiles, in terms of you take all of the tiles of one colour off of one of the tiles in the middle, and the rest slide to the middle, and then that's it. Also, you can pick from the middle all of the same colour. There is the slight twist of you take a wild tile with that as well now. I don't think it's enough of a twist. It's enough of a twist to make it interesting, but it's not enough of a twist to make this vastly different. Now, yes, you're putting them, as you can see, on a slightly different board than the original. They're different shapes and stuff. You're not sliding them across in the same way, but it's got the same central vibe there of how you get the tiles. So I think it's close enough, but still a very great game that I would highly recommend anyone trying if you've not played it. And if you've not played an Azul, a great point to jump into the trilogy of them, to be honest. My number 1 is Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated. Now, I have no, and I still don't, now I've played the Legacy experience, I still really have no understanding of the Acquisitions Incorporated franchise. To me, they are interesting, and you know, the characters that were sort of introduced in the storyline, it made it very entertaining, but I have no real knowledge of any of them. That's not the right board for one. Let's try and click through these until we get a good picture of the... Oh, someone's painted some of the miniatures there. They're not spoilers. These are the ones you get at the very start of the game. I can't find a good picture. That's always a good start. The problem with this is you don't want to see too much. We'll leave it there. You don't want to see too much more of the board. So the way this one works is it takes everything from Clank. It takes all that excitement of building your deck up within a game, and then, you know, slowly being able to move further around the map, interact, defeat bigger monsters, getting more, and then slowly building up that and running in, grabbing some cool stuff, and then hopefully getting out. Now it has all that, but it's a much slower paced game, because a lot of the time, even though it's competitive, we ended up working a little cooperatively in terms of like, okay, I could end the game now. Like, I've got more points than you, I could end the game now, and, you know, for the legacy component, that would be good for me. But I want you to get to that location so we can read that passage from the book. And there was definitely, for most of the game, there was that back and forth. You know, you can't see it there really on that board, but stickers are going to get added. You know, and that's how your board ends up completely different to anyone else's. You could continue playing. We haven't, but we played, you know, the good 10 full games, probably around 2 hours each you want to sort of put aside for this. It's got all that awesome deck building that base Clank had, and a whole load of stickers and ways to tweak your deck, because your deck does reset each time, but it can reset to obviously something slightly different. So in the first game everyone's almost the same. By the end there are a few differences in your starting deck, but not enough that anyone's ever out of the running. It was really close for us when we were playing the Legacy experience, but mostly it was the fact that we were so invested in that Legacy aspect that even if it's competitive, we were like, no, I'm gonna not do this because I don't want to trigger the end of the game. I don't want to trigger the end of whatever. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to just almost do something else that's not benefiting me, just so you can get there and do that. And I think that showed that it was a really good experience. So it's an experience that might not be for everyone because of that. If you are the sort of person that will just want to run in, win, and get out, then it's probably not for you, because I think you'll miss a lot of the interesting, fun content, because you'll be zipping in and out before, you know, someone's had a chance to get all the way to the bottom of the dungeon and read that cool passage that might be cool for you as well, and probably will be. But there you go. That's my number one game from 2019, Clank Legacy. Now I have a couple of honourable mentions. First of all, it's older than 2019, but the new version came out of Love Letter. So it originally came out in 2012, and then they released the 2019 packaging, which for some reason I cannot find the English version of. But it looks like this. It comes in a slightly different packet, and then it has all of the original cards, and it has a couple of more. So it has like the Spy, I can't remember, I think maybe the Chancellor's the other new one, but absolutely loved Love Letter. It would be probably my number one game from 2019 if it wasn't based on an older game, because this deck of 21 cards, maybe 25, that sort of ballpark, those 25 cards can keep a group of people thoroughly entertained for an entire evening as you try and play these cards to guess what they've got. You're trying to get them out, and if everyone gets through, it's whoever's got the highest. So it's like, do I risk holding on to the princess? You can't play it, but you can. There are ways to get it out of your hand, or if you think someone else has got it, you can get them to play it, and that gets them eliminated. There is player elimination, so it's not going to be for everyone, but the rounds are so quick. When you're eliminated, if it's a 2-player game, the round's over. If it's a 4-player game, well, maybe you're waiting a minute or two, and it's entertaining to watch everyone else sort of squirm, and you can be like, oh, show me what you've got. Oh, you've got that. Okay, you don't tell anyone else what they've got, but you can enjoy them bluffing to everyone else. So Love Letter, really enjoy that one. The other one was Anniversary Edition, so again, it's kind of not a new one, but it kind of is, and that was for Big City Jumbo edition. So Mercury Games have done a couple of these jumbo ones, and I mean, oh, that's a render there, I think. That's not, it's got these absolutely chunky, and they're a decent size buildings and stuff that you put down. It's got some interesting sort of mechanic of, like, you can't build most building types until a certain event has been triggered, and no one's going to trigger that in the first round because it's worth no points, but by like the third or fourth round it's worth 3 or 4 points, up to I think it's the maximum of 5. So by then everyone starts to go, actually that's a lot of points, I want to trigger it, and then all of a sudden you can then start spending your cards to put other building types down. It's not just the standard like housing or like office buildings. All of a sudden you can, once that city hall is down, you can start putting the trams down, you can start putting what else is there, there's like factories, I think that's a comparison there of like the new and the old cards. Look at that, I mean, it looks lovely. I mean, you've got there you have it, you've got parks, you've got banks, you've got police stations, you've got churches. Those sort of buildings, they can only go down after a certain point when that city hall has been built. I've got the expansion, I'm itching to play the expansion. I'm not sure if that part is in stock anymore, but the base jumbo expansion was edition is of Big City. It's not cheap, and I think that's really hampered the game, despite the price being worth it for the chunky buildings. I think if the game was half the price, with like just less durable plastic chunky buildings, it would have sold so much better, because it's a brilliant game and the price point just means maybe not enough people can try it. But yeah, I think it looks lovely. You really sort of try and zoom in like Google Earth and look down the streets, especially where the parks are. I think they look stunning, they really do. So there you have it. There's 5 games and 2 honourable mentions of games that, from 2019, I think you should at least check out. They might not be for everyone, but I have thoroughly enjoyed them. There's other top 5s on the channel. So there's one with Dave Luza, Melissa McCack, and also Dan Hughes, and there's more to come, so make sure you check those out. And I'm Oliver East, signing out.